everyone, and welcome back to Alma Live. I'm Adriana Monique Alvarez, and I'm super excited to be joining you today from Mexico. And Kelsey, thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And would you let us know where you are joining from today?
Yeah, I am in New Smyrna Beach, Florida right now.
Excellent. Now, I know that you're a spiritual life coach, and you recently contributed a chapter in Phoenix that came out last Friday. And I always love to hear, in your own words, exactly what it is that you do. How do you help those who work with you? What journey do you take them on?
Well, I have a system that's been proven, and it's reliable on how to get people from where they are to where they want to be. But, the easy answer is that I help them tune inward to their source of creation and teaching them how to connect directly to their creator and develop their intuitive guidance system so that as they continue to crush out their dreams and their goals, they're doing so in a very deliberate way and a very conscious way. So
I like that. Now, Phoenix came out. I've read your chapter, and there's so many juicy spots we could dive into. Yeah. And they all very much relate to this idea of emotional resilience. So I think the very first thing I wanted to ask you was, what's your personal definition of emotional resilience? What does that look like for you?
Emotional resilience for me is living a vision-driven life. When you know where you want to be and where you're headed and what your values are, it helps you withstand all the storms. And so I call it, when you're in the dark night of the soul, having that long view of life and kind of understanding that you're on a hero's journey, coming home to yourself. And when you have that long view perspective, it's less likely that you're going to give up on yourself. So that's my perspective of resilience.
So tell me, what was your aim? What was the thing that kept you going through 2 marriages and divorces and your life sort of breaking down, coming back, birth, death, all of these cycles? What kept you going forward? What gave you hope?
I knew that this isn't my full story. I am not meant to be sad and defeated and to wither away. That isn't who I am. It just happened to be something that was needed for my soul growth and evolution. So I had to go through all of that to awaken to more potentiality within me that was kind of dormant or stuck. And so I kind of really had to I had to break, like the tower card, you have to crumble and fall into a million little pieces. And then when you build yourself back up, you are a new shining masterpiece that's completely different than the person you were. Not completely, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just built differently now.
So true. You put those pieces back differently.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that stood out to me in your chapter, but also with a lot of clients I've worked with, many of the women I've interviewed, even here, is that there seems to be a real connection between empaths and psychics finding themselves in narcissistic relationships. Why do you think that is?
Well, I've had a lot of time to think about it this year. So, because my most recent ex-husband, he is a very scary example of a narcissist, someone who completely lives with masks on, pretending he pretended to love me. And he pretended to want to be a good husband. Anytime he did anything good, it was so that society would see him doing what a good husband or good father should do. It wasn't because it was out of the goodness of his heart. So, like, why did that happen to me? I'm so full of love and so giving. And I think it has something to do with the dynamic of empaths always seeing the potential in others and also wanting to help. Like, you know, I always wanted to support them and build them up. And there's a lack of seeing what's actually in front of you. It's like blinders, so to speak. And I've recently read something where, you know, in order for people to deceive you, they have to find a willing participant to be deceived subconsciously. You know what I mean? Like, subconsciously, I somehow attracted this man into my life. And it was pretty awful experience, but yet I did it. And so I can't blame him. It's my life. I somehow made it happen. Mm-hmm. And so it's really just focusing on, for me to heal that, because even after him, I went on a few dates and I was still attracting narcissists. I'm like, what is going on? This is not, like, why does the universe keep sending them to me? And ultimately it was to have like radical self-love. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no man will touch me. No man gets near me. My body is my body. Like, celibacy was a huge thing for me. Like, dating, but no intimacy, just getting to know people and their character became like paramount, because I couldn't handle any more of the deceptions, because it was like one after another after another. And I'm like, okay, this is a pattern. I have to break this pattern.
Yes.
So radical self-love. Yeah.
Radical self-love. And I love what you said, because I really think that it's where a lot hinges, is this ability to see the potential in another, which means we're not seeing them as they are, right? And have you noticed that this can also happen in business and work, seeing the potential of a client or a possible client, and yet knowing they're not the right fit, they're really not who we want to work with, but they have so much potential, and they end up burying us, right? Or it ends up being very heavy.
Right.
So what helped you shift from you have potential to, no, you have what it takes to be in a relationship with me right now? It's not like a future hope, but you already possess it. What do you think was that shift from potential to possession?
Well, I don't want to be deceived anymore. So I just see people as they are, and I don't make stories. It's really going with what you see is what you get. And so, for example, I recently, like I said before to you privately, I found my soulmate recently, and that didn't come. I think he's my twin flame, but that didn't come until I became my twin flame, until I fell in love with myself. And so once I was fully in love with myself and with God, and just so connected and in alignment, that's when I met him. And we had hung out multiple times, like 6 times, just as friends, before it kind of like dawned on us. And when it did, it was a slow, it was like, it was just a slow, steady love that wasn't, nothing needed to be forced. Nothing had to be rushed. It's just, it is, and it's so beautiful. And I don't know, it's just my journey, but finding that person who lives in truth and honor and integrity is paramount, because and that means like seeing their character, how they interact with other people as well. So you can really internally gauge in your gut if this person is a good fit for you.
Absolutely. And congratulations on finding and experiencing that. Now, you had mentioned before we came live that you had been in this journey for the last couple of years, changing your career, starting your coaching business, and then something happened in your life. Do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I was working in a gold mine in Indonesia, teaching in a private school. I had the best life. I was making amazing money for a school teacher. I had a nanny who helped me 6 days a week. She cooked, she cleaned, she helped me with my kid. I travel around the islands, get massages all the time. Like, just my lifestyle was amazing. I built a home in Indonesia overlooking the ocean and bought a bunch of land. And then came back here because my soul's calling was to really work in the spiritual community. And so came back to America with my new baby. And my husband was supposed to come over once we got his visa working, and then, or approved. And that process takes a long time, and it wasn't fast enough. So long story short, he ended up leaving me. And it was a power play move, because my first ex-husband, he came to America to make money. And my current husband at the time didn't want me to let my daughter see her dad. And that was a request I couldn't uphold. So he left me because I wouldn't keep my daughter away from her father. And then it was like a steady process of just not just him, but life events. It was like God was just giving me so much pain and suffering all in the span of a few months, to the point where life really became unbearable and I was unable to move forward anymore. And I had to really get still with myself. And so some of those things that happened, so I told you I bought a bunch of land in Indonesia, so that's where all my wealth was tied up in. And I couldn't sell my land. And so here I am trying to build a business. And, you know, the first year and a half is really difficult because people don't know you or know what you're about. And so it was a struggle financially. So I didn't have any money, essentially, you know, scraps here and there. And then, which is, to go from such a fancy lifestyle to that's a change.
Yes.
And then I was living with my mom, and she and my father were having issues. And so picking up on their stuff and just unhealthy, kind of unhealed behaviors. And then what else? I ended up going on birth control, and it completely changed me. Like, within a few days, I became suicidal. Like, not suicidal, but I became ruminating about death. And then within 2 weeks, I was just like walking around my house just saying, I want to die, I want to die. And I was thinking of all the ways I could easily die. And then a week after that, I had a mental breakdown where I just screamed and I cried and I just felt so unloved. Like, just the people around me weren't caring, or they were just unconscious. It's not that they don't care about me. They do, but they were just living unconsciously, and we were all living together, and it just wasn't, we were all suffering. So we're all suffering and then living together. So that happened, and that the very next day I was taking a bath, and I'm like, well, that's weird. I don't have mental breakdowns. I'm pretty, resilient. So I was thinking, well, what has changed? And it dawned on me, the only thing that's changed are these birth control pills. So I got online, researched Larissia pills, and there was a customer review website, and out of 10 stars, it had, out of like 49 reviews, it had 3 out of 10 stars. And all the reviews were like, my husband doesn't even know who I am anymore on this stuff. Made me suicidal and depressed, just like one after the another. And it's, what I now know is that it's a crime. It should be a crime to prescribe this to women. It's awful. It's toxic poison. And so, you know, I threw that stuff out. It took a few weeks to get my hormones like healed. And then a week later, I moved out of my mom's house because I couldn't take it anymore. And I was in a little condo here at the beach, and which sounds lovely, but it's, you know, make the best out of your situations. But picked up my baby and my spine snapped and I fell to the floor, and you know, I laid there for like 4 hours realizing I couldn't find any friends to come pick me up. And so I called 911, and 4 men lifted me to the bed, and not to the bed, to the couch, where I had to lay there for 3 days, unable to walk or sit up or move. I had to pee on pee pads on the couch, and I didn't have health insurance. So I was really forced to kind of just be quiet. And because before it was just like, go, go, go. If I can just work a little harder, maybe like, you know, like something will manifest. And God was like, no, you can't manifest your big dreams until you heal a few things. And so I got quiet, and then I realized I needed help. And so I ended up drinking ayahuasca, which is a shamanic plant medicine from the Amazon, and it has healing properties with the medicine, and it can kind of show you where you've taken wrong turns in your life, and also help you regain a lot of love. And so I ended up drinking the medicine 8 times in a span of 5 months to try to like figure out, because rationally my life shouldn't have fallen apart. But I had to really dig deep into my subconscious. Some people call it the shadow or shadow self, like Jung says. And I didn't even really know much about shadow work, but boy, I'm an expert on it now.
Oh, I bet. Oh my goodness, what a journey.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, but I'm good now. I'm like in a really good place and an empowered place. And it's beautiful and it's magical. And, you know, like I wouldn't wish where I was on anyone, but the results of what I've gained from going through the dark night of the soul and doing all that shadow work, like I would want that for everyone, because it's true freedom. You know, it's when we incorporate our shadow or our darkness, we become whole. You know, yin and yang, like we're not denying it anymore. Like, oh yeah, that's in me, but I'm choosing to live life differently now, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And is this part of what the work that you do is as well? Because I would love, you know, for people to learn how they can work with you.
Yeah, I have a few different programs. Like one of them is called Dream Builder. It's a 12-week program, coaching program that helps people who have a vision and a goal in mind, and helps them really fine-tune themselves vibrationally, and also dealing with mindset things. And if there's any subconscious beliefs that need repatterned. So Dream Builder is one program that helps you manifest. And then another program is Life Mastery, which is a 6-month program. And each month we do a different topic. And I wouldn't say we focus a whole lot on shadow work, but when it comes, because that's a group program, so if something comes up for someone, then we do, but generally that's more about mindset, alignment, connection with source, metaphysical things, and then private coaching is really where we get to the, if needed, get into helping people explore their subconscious.
Excellent. I'm going to pop up your website, sacredlivingcoaching.org. And I would like to leave everyone with this quote that you had sent me. I know you have learned this through experience. You are your own healer.
Yes, it's so true. I mean, we can always find assistance. You know, you can get a life coach, you can have a mentor, you can go to a shamanic facilitator. But at the end of the day, it's best to learn the tools yourself, so you don't have to rely on someone else's interpretation of your spiritual growth. You do it yourself. So that's the ultimate message, I think, for everyone, is to turn inwards and see what you find.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me, Kelsey. I want to remind everyone to pick up their free pass to Networking Influencers, my weekly networking group, as well as my guide, Jumpstart Your Book. Those links can be found in the description. I'll also pop in the description the link to Phoenix, where you can read more about Kelsey and her journey. All right, until next time, big hugs from Mexico. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.